Hello and welcome. I'm delighted you could be with me tonight. We have a very fun show. I think if you're a parent or a grandparent or aunt or uncle, a big brother, a big sister, you know how precious childhood is and how we look back and think those were really wonderful days usually. We're going to talk tonight with 4 boys who are at the end of their elementary school days. They're 5th graders. And we're going to talk about what it's like to be 10 and 11. I think it's a pivotal age. I think kids sometimes at 10 or 11 are maybe acting like 6, right? And sometimes they're acting like 16, and sometimes they're acting like 26. So we're going to hear from them what it really feels like to be 10 or 11. A teacher said to me recently, 5th graders are kind of a group that have tender hearts yet. And so I agree, and I think you'll enjoy getting to know these boys. So I'd like to have you give me your name and tell the viewers who's in your family. We'll start with you.
My name is Krishan, and I have my mom, my dad, my brother, and my dog. And yeah.
So mom, dad, brother, and dog. So two kids and a dog. And then we've got Brady.
Hi, my name is Brady, and I have my mom, my dad, my brother, my dog, my cat, and my uncles and my aunts.
So they all live in your house with you? But they're part of your family?
Yes.
Okay. That's what we call an extended family, right? And then we have...
I have my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister, and my 2 dogs.
And your name is?
And my name is Makai.
Right. And then finally...
My name is Max, and I have a mom, a dad, 2 sisters, and 3 half-sisters. And 3 dogs.
Okay, so you've got the biggest family, don't you? Well, there's so many things I want to ask you about, but let's just start out with kind of a fun one. What do you think is the best thing about being 10, or a couple of you are 11? What's the best thing you think about being this age?
I really think it's opportunities. You get a lot of opportunities at this age, and you just get to have fun, and you get to socialize with other kids and friends and family, and you just have a good time being 10. It's really a golden stage of your time being alive.
That's a really positive view, Chris. You don't have to go in order, but Brady, you look like you're ready.
Not really. But I have to agree with Chris on most things. There's a lot of opportunities, and you get to socialize with other people and friends. And you get to meet new people, and yeah, it's a pretty fun age. I'm the oldest one.
Is it kind of what you expected it would be like when you were little and you looked up to 10-year-olds and you thought, what's it going to be like? Do you kind of feel it's what you thought it would be?
More or less.
Yeah, it's hard to say,
Yeah.
isn't it? Well, Makai or Max, who wants to go next?
I'd say that, so yeah, with being 10 or 11, you get more opportunities, and more responsibility at the same time. So some responsibility is good and some has its downsides, but it does bring responsibility in these older years.
Can you just give an example of a responsibility that is in your life?
I'd just say getting my brother ready for bed.
That takes some doing, yeah. And Max, what about you? What's the best thing about being 10?
I think it's great because you have the opportunity to act mature and the opportunity to not act mature.
So you think you get a bit of a pass?
Yeah.
because you're still a kid, right? Yeah, okay. I love hearing what you guys think. Another question I've been wondering about, and there was an article in Sunday's paper about what kids worry about. And I think sometimes grown-ups don't think that kids have much to worry about. But I think you do, and I'm curious what you each worry about. I know this is kind of a heavy question, but what do you worry about?
I worried about getting behind in schoolwork.
Not catching up or not being as caught up as you want to be. And there's pressure, isn't there, with school that way?
A lot.
A lot. Mm-hmm.
I worry about what other people think of me if they think I'm not fast enough or not smart enough. And that.
And that's a real normal part of being 10. And I think from what I hear from teenagers, that that's a feeling that keeps going, you know. What do my friends think of me, or what do people think of me that I want to be friends with, you know, that kind of thing.
I think I worry about just like the future. So like it could be how am I going to be doing on a test tomorrow, or it could be what am I going to grow up to be. So it varies.
So one day you might worry about something very imminent, very soon to happen or not happen. Next day something way out. Huh?
Or like if I'm going to be able to do it, like preparing for things.
Yeah,
And
those are big worries. Yeah. How about you, Chris?
I've got to say I agree with Makai. I do worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. What will be the thing that I'm going to do tomorrow? And if something's off, how will I fix it? And I also worry, like, I'm in college. Oh no, will this test go right? Or it's just, I think about ahead, what job am I going to be? And I think about how am I going to do on this test when I get to that level? And how am I going to do on like this? And I think about how what happened now is going to kind of affect the future.
And it does, doesn't it? But it's always hard to know how much it affects the future, but it sure, everything fits together. Do you guys worry much about world problems? I mean, you turn on the television and there's a lot of scary stuff going on. Do you think much about that, or do you think more about what's going on in your school, your neighborhood, your family?
well, I mostly worry about or think about what I have tomorrow, or something like school, or something that's
personal.
more, personal. But I do depending on what could be like happening to a ton of people. It depends what it is. But sometimes like I am also thinking about, I'm also thinking about just other things that are happening around, maybe in the world, and like people are doing.
And we hear about the world stuff more than years ago. When I was a little girl, we didn't have television even when I was really little. And then we didn't have anything like CNN that was telling us what's going on abroad and all over the world. So now you're forced to hear more about, you know, the whole world, and also its opportunity, but it's very different. You mentioned, a couple of you did, thinking about what you might want to be when you get older. And I know that's like the question maybe your great uncle is going to ask you at Thanksgiving, but people are always curious. And of course, you might change your mind 20 times between now and older. But what's kind of in your mind right now in terms of what you might project and think of yourself becoming?
I think I'm shooting for biologist. If that doesn't work, hopefully a paleontologist, and if that doesn't work, NBA player.
So the second one was paleontologist, first one biologist, or NBA player. Okay. The first two are kind of alike, the third one's quite different. Yeah. Are you playing basketball?
Yeah.
this year or this winter? Okay. How about you, Brady?
Well, one thing that I'm kind of wanted to be is an actor, and also kind of maybe a paleontologist. And I've always kind of, I don't know, it's not something I think about all that much, but I do think about having to be sometimes like actor, paleontologist, many other things.
When you think about possibly being an actor, do you think about wanting to go to college then and majoring in drama? Or do you just think, I'm going to try and be in a lot of plays and see how it feels?
Probably option A that you said, maybe.
That sounds like a very unique career. How about you, Makai?
Well, I've always been interested in space, so my first thought was being an astronaut or someone who goes out into space. But then I heard about the spaceship that blew up, or spaceships do blow up, and I'd rather not blow up. So then I thought I'd like to be the person down on the ground, the engineer for the spaceships or whatever goes into space. And I thought that I would also be an inventor. So kind of going along with scientist, it was scientist or inventor. And when I was younger, I was like, ooh, scientist, I can go to a lab and mix two chemicals and they'll blow up. That's all I knew of science.
But now you're learning more about it,
Yes.
aren't you? Yeah. Well, interesting. Those are neat goals. Max, what about you?
I really enjoy to cook, and so I'm thinking about becoming a chef.
A chef. Oh. Do you have any chefs in your family?
I don't know.
Not that you know of, huh? Do you do some cooking at home or baking?
Sometimes I do stuff like making my breakfast or helping out with some stuff.
Helping out. Do you have a certain kind of dish or food that you think is sort of like a specialty for you, something you really like helping your mom or dad with?
Well, I enjoy making, I've made sushi with my mom before, and I enjoy that.
Sushi. Okay. When you think about your extracurricular activities and things you need to do for school, been a lot of doctors and teachers and psychologists saying they think that kids right now in our time are pushed pretty hard to do a lot, take part in sports or in drama or music and study and do things with your family. And some kids feel like, I am too scheduled, I need more downtime. Others say, I love it the way it is. And I'm just really curious what you each think about your time. And when you think of a week, do you feel like it's too crowded with things, or do you like it the way it is, or what do you each think?
For me, it depends what week. I mean, sometimes I may want to go in my brother's room and just play video games, and the other week I might want to say, let's go to the mall. And it just really depends on what the week is and what the mood is, how the mood is set. And then for activities after school and before, I really think it's just a way to bond with kids that you don't know or kids that you might know, and just so it gets stronger and that you can just be social. And so I just think it shouldn't take a step even if you are too crowded and you think maybe you could just put this aside and maybe next time I'll do it. You know, you don't always have to do things on the first try. I think that's where people get that confused.
So you basically don't feel too pressured, it sounds like. Okay, that sounds good. How about, who wants to go next? We don't have to go in order, but you're
I
ready?
wouldn't say my life is busy. I would say it's more, I don't know. I don't play any sports yet. I would like to play some sports, and I just am not that crowded of a person besides school and maybe other things, but not much I can really think about at this point in time right now.
So you don't feel too pressured, it sounds like, either. And you said you'd like to do some sports. Do you have like one in particular you lean toward, or?
I really like soccer, and I like other sports like football or basketball. Not probably football. It's the main ones.
Years ago, kids didn't get much into sports until junior high. Now it seems like it's a little bit younger, you know, quite a little bit younger. But there's no one time to jump in, right? How about you, Makai? Time pressure, do you feel it?
I do feel time pressure. I mean, for me, compared to other kids, I would say there are probably other kids who have way more time pressure and have way more things to do. But I feel like or homework takes me longer. So if I have something after school and my homework takes up a bunch of time, and then I do homework pretty much the whole night except for that time where I'm doing something else, then I feel like I am scheduled and pressured, because maybe I finish my homework, but then I don't have any like relaxed time.
Just downtime.
Yeah, so then it gets annoying. It depends on what days though. So like on a weekend, it doesn't really happen much. But sometimes on weekends, time like it goes faster, and it's like I'm not doing my homework maybe one day because I went to something, and then the next day I have to do it, and then
And
but
then you've got to do
but
it
it's
then.
not
that
as
day.
bad on the weekend as some of the weekdays.
Okay, you feel more pressure during the week because of the daily assignment. Yeah. And things like that
it
are.
more got difficult on when I had like an extra amount of homework, because maybe I do a sport or something for one day. I sign up, and maybe the first week or second week are just fine. But then maybe I get to a week where we have a bunch of homework, and I'm like, oh man. And then it gets more difficult. So it's like you can't really plan for what you're going to.
Yeah, you never know quite what the weeks are going to bring, do you? Yeah, that makes sense. Max, how about you?
I think activities such as sports are a great way for kids to socialize and to distract them from sitting all day watching TV. And
at me.
I'm not looking at you.
Yes, you were.
And
Saw you.
but I think if it gets to the point where they're missing things that they should be doing, then it's gone too far.
So do you have some extracurricular things that you particularly like doing?
I like soccer. I enjoy basketball, but I'm not playing right now basketball.
I
And
know you're doing some Lego
yeah, I do Lego
classes.
robotics.
Yeah. So it sounds like depending on, some of you maybe take longer to do homework than others. That can be a variable. And some families just have more going on than others in terms of other social things too, don't they? Another topic I want to ask you about, and we don't have a lot of time left, but there's a lot on television right now and in the schools too about bullying. And I'm guessing everybody at some time gets bullied. I'm wondering if you've been bullied. And then I also have a part 2 to the question, and that is, if you see somebody being bullied, what's something you can do, or is there anything?
I've never seen anyone being bullied. I've never been bullied, but I've heard about people who've been bullied, and I just think that it's wrong, and I don't think it's the right thing to do. It's definitely not the right thing to do, because most of the time the bully is the one who's scared of the other person, because they don't want to deal with that person. They just want to get them. They just want them to be afraid of them. So they just don't want them to ever talk to them, just because I don't think they understand how they are hurting them and how much it could affect their life, because of how much they want them out of their life as much as they want you, because
So
you
the
are
bully's
bullied.
hurting too at some level,
Yes.
right? That's very insightful. What do you think, Chris, about bullying? Have you ever been bullied?
No, I've never seen anybody get bullied.
You've not, okay.
But I know there's a type where people don't necessarily say, they don't even look, they just completely, they don't even talk to a person, they just leave them alone, the victim. But see, they'll talk behind their back and try to get other people to say, oh, well, if he doesn't like him and he's popular, why should I like him? And so
that's sort of a form of bullying, isn't it?
And so I just think that if you're bullying, just like Brady said, you're bullying because you have something that you haven't desired and something that you're dealing with and that they're not. And so you're kind of jealous of this person. And you say, well, they have a better life than me, so I'm going to make theirs miserable. And that will make me feel better of what I'm doing, even though what they're doing is the wrong thing to do. And that kind of just fits in to where Brady said they have something that they don't like. The other person is completely fine except them.
Would you agree, Max and Makai?
I'd say that it sometimes depends on, like, okay, so it depends on the person. Sometimes it's just like, well, sometimes it normally is it's aggression in some way. It can be sometimes from maybe something that happened earlier, like maybe a person bullied them. So sometimes the bullies have been bullied. So then it's difficult, because if the bullies were bullied, they may come and be like, well, someone bullied me. I want to take out that anger that I have on that other person, but I shouldn't do it on that other person that bullied me, because maybe they'd bully me some more. So they go to another person.
So pick someone totally different.
Maybe. And if I see bullying, it depends on like how they're acting. I mean, if there is just a person, or some bullies, it depends. It goes from words to actually like from words to physical aggression and bullying.
It can get
So,
bigger
yeah.
as time goes
If I
on if
see,
it's not.
if I haven't actually really seen bullying. I probably have, but I don't see I haven't seen really physical bullying much. It's just you don't see a person really punching a person down really much.
But more the emotional.
But yeah, a lot of times it's like emotional or verbal bullying. So
Sometimes it's kind of sneaky,
so,
isn't it? Like
yeah.
Chris said.
so if I see someone being bullied, it really depends on what type of bullying. If a person is getting smacked, with aggressively with let's say they're being punched, it depends on the situation. If you should go run in and stop it, or if you should go and get someone. It depends also on your age. If you like, if you're a kid, then an adult would be good.
Be good to
But
pull
if-
someone in.
But if you're like an adult, I mean, go get another adult, that may help, but it would help to have another adult, but it's not like another adult will maybe help stop two adults from getting. So, and if it's verbally, then it depends on how bad it is to what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, it varies, doesn't it? Situation. We just have a tiny bit of time. Max, your thought? Have you been bullied, and what would you do if you saw someone bullied?
I've been verbally and physically hurt by other individuals, and I believe that they're not bad people, but it's something going on that they're just dealing with it in a way that they shouldn't.
So you all sound like you have quite a lot of understanding of both sides.
Bro.
Oh, well, we are out of time, you guys. Did that go pretty fast?
Yeah.
It
Faster
did.
than
I want to
thought.
thank you each, Chris, Brady, Makai, and Max, for coming down and giving us a real good insight into what it's like to be in 5th grade and 10 and 11. You're all such thoughtful and interesting people. I love having you on. So maybe you can come back when you're 15 and we'll talk about being teenagers, huh?
Oh,
Okay.
teenagers. I have to live with one.
Thank you for being with us. I'll be back again next week. Until then, have a really good week.